At 80, one heartbreak showed me what time really means. I'm sitting by the window this evening, watching the light change. It's something I do now, watch things I used to walk right past. The way shadows move across the floor, how the air cools when the sun drops below the roofline, the particular shade of amber the sky turns just before everything goes dark. I'm 83 years old, and 2 years ago, someone I loved very much left this world. Not suddenly, not in a way that made headlines or stopped traffic, just left, the way leaves let go of branches when their season ends, quietly, inevitably, the way things do when their time has come. That loss, that one heartbreak, did something I didn't expect. It made time real. Not real in the way a clock is real, ticking away in the corner. Real in the way hunger is real, in the way cold water on your face in the morning is real. Suddenly I could feel it moving, every day, every hour, slipping through my fingers like sand I'd never even noticed I was holding. For most of my life, time was something I assumed I had. Not in an arrogant way, not because I thought I was special or immune to the way things work, just in the way you assume the ground will be there when you take your next step, in the way you assume tomorrow will arrive because it always has before. I made plans, long plans, 5-year plans, retirement plans, someday plans. I said later about 1,000 things that mattered. Later I'll tell them how much they mean to me. Later I'll take that trip. Later I'll slow down and actually pay attention. I thought genuinely that there would always be more mornings, more conversations, more chances to get it right. I didn't know I was making a bet I might lose. I worried about things that don't matter now, things I can barely remember, what people thought of me at a party I attended 30 years ago. Whether I was successful enough, whether my lawn looked as good as the neighbors, whether I was keeping up, moving forward, achieving something impressive enough to justify my existence. I worked late when I could have been home. I stayed tense when I could have been soft. I argued about things that dissolved into nothing the moment they were over. I held back words because I thought I'd have another chance to say them. Words like, "I'm proud of you," like, "I was wrong," like, "Please don't go yet." Simple words, the kind that cost nothing but somehow felt too vulnerable to release. I didn't know I was trading moments for nothing. But when that heartbreak came, when I realized I would never hear that laugh again, never see that particular way of tilting their head when they were thinking, never smell that specific scent of their soap mixed with the coffee they drank every morning, time stopped being abstract. It became something I could feel, something I could lose, like waking up after years of sleepwalking through a life I barely noticed I was living. What stays with me now isn't the big things. It's not the promotions or the arguments I won or the plans that worked out. Those dissolved like sugar in water. They seemed so important at the time, urgent even, but now I struggle to remember what half of them were about. The raise I fought for, the grudge I held for 2 years, the vacation I postponed because I was too busy. Gone. All of it. Like writing in sand when the tide comes in. What remains is a Tuesday afternoon we spent doing nothing, just sitting on the porch talking about birds, not even interesting birds, common ones, sparrows and robins. But we were there, fully there, in that conversation. No phones, no distractions, just the sound of their voice and the way the light moved through the leaves, the weight of their hand in mine when we crossed a street. Something I did 1,000 times without thinking. Now I'd give anything to feel it once more. The way they said my name when they were half asleep, soft, like a question, like I was the answer. Small things, unremarkable things. The things I almost missed because I was thinking about tomorrow. The things no one would put on a highlight reel or in an obituary, but the things that make up an actual life. A real one. One that was lived instead of managed. There's this thing that happens when you get to be my age. You start seeing patterns. Not because you're wiser necessarily, just because you've watched the same movie enough times that you recognize the plot. And one pattern I see everywhere, in myself, in others, in the young people rushing past me on the sidewalk, is this. We act like we have time. We act like love can wait, like presence can be postponed, like the people we care about will always be there, so there's no rush to show up fully, to listen deeply, to say the true things that sit in our chests like stones. We treat time like it's infinite, but it's not. It's the most finite thing we have, and the cruelest part. We don't know how much we have left. Not for ourselves, not for anyone we love. That's not meant to scare you. It's just true. I started something after they died, not because anyone told me to, not because I read it in a book or heard it in a sermon, because I couldn't keep living the way I had been. Because I woke up one morning and realized I was still sleepwalking, still deferring, still saving my real life for some mythical later that might never come. Every night, before I sleep, I sit quietly for 2 minutes. Just 2. I don't pray exactly. I don't meditate in any formal way. I'm not following some program or trying to achieve enlightenment. I just remember one moment from that day, one real moment, the taste of my coffee. The exact taste, not just coffee, but the bitterness and warmth and the way it felt against my tongue, the sound of rain starting, that first tentative tap, tap, tap on the roof before it builds into a pour, a stranger who smiled at me in the grocery store. How it changed their whole face, how it changed something in me too. I let myself be there again, just for those 2 minutes. At first it felt pointless. My mind wandered. I thought about my to-do list, about something I'd said wrong 20 years ago, about whether I'd locked the back door. I forgot to do it half the time. But slowly, so slowly I almost didn't notice, something changed. Days stopped blurring together. I started feeling my life again, not thinking about it, not planning it or analyzing it or worrying about it, feeling it, the way you feel sun on your skin or water when you're truly thirsty. I think about you sometimes, you reading this now. Maybe you're younger, maybe you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, and you still have that feeling, conscious or not, that time is endless, that you can always circle back to the people and moments you're putting off, that there will always be another chance to do it right, to say it better, to finally show up the way you mean to. Maybe you're busy, maybe you're tired, maybe you're carrying so much that presence feels like a luxury you can't afford right now. Maybe you're my age, or close to it. Maybe you're nodding because you know exactly what I mean. Maybe you've had your own heartbreak, your own moment when time became real and you realized how much of it you'd let slip away. Either way, I want to tell you something. Later isn't a plan. It's a risk. It's a gamble we make without even realizing we're gambling. Every time we say it, we're betting that we'll get another chance, that tomorrow will come, that the people we love will still be here, that we'll still have the energy, the clarity, the courage to do what we're postponing today. And sometimes we don't. Not because the world is cruel, not because we did something wrong, just because that's how time works. It moves in one direction, and it doesn't wait, and it doesn't announce when it's running out. I don't regret my whole life. I can't. That would be like resenting a river for flowing or blaming winter for being cold. My life was what it was. I did the best I could with what I knew. I loved imperfectly. I failed often. I got back up most of the time. But I do wish I'd understood sooner that presence, real, full, undivided presence, is the only thing we can actually give each other. Not perfection, not solutions, not even happiness necessarily, just being there, fully, without one foot already out the door. Without half our mind on the next thing, the next worry, the next item on an endless list. That's what love is, I think. It's not the grand gestures, though those are nice. It's not the expensive gifts or the perfect words. It's showing up in the moment you're actually in. Not the one you're worried about. Not the one you're planning for. Not the one you wish you were in instead. This one, right here, with this person, in this light, feeling this exact feeling, whatever it is. I've been thinking about what I would tell my younger self if I could, not to prevent mistakes, not to change anything big, just what I wish someone had told me. I think I'd say, the people you love won't be here forever, neither will you. So stop saving your real self for later. Stop waiting to be less tired, less busy, less afraid before you show up fully. That work email can wait. That grudge you're holding isn't worth what it's costing you. That moment happening right now, the one you're half present for because you're thinking about tomorrow, that's your life, not tomorrow. Now. And the time you spend worrying about things that never happen, that's time you don't get back. It doesn't roll over. It doesn't accumulate interest. It's just gone. I tell myself to touch more, to hug longer, to say, I love you when I feel it, not just when it's expected. I tell myself that being vulnerable isn't weak, that saying I'm scared or I need you or I don't know what I'm doing doesn't diminish you. It makes you human. It makes you real. I'd tell myself to ask more questions, real ones, not how was your day, but what made you feel alive today, or what are you afraid of, or when do you feel most like yourself? I'd tell myself to listen like it matters, like the person speaking might not be here next week to tell me these things again, because they might not be. None of us might be. The light's almost gone now. The room is filling with that soft blue darkness that comes before night. I can see my reflection in the window glass, an old man, lines on my face like a map of everywhere I've been, hair white as paper, eyes that have seen more than I sometimes want to remember. But I'm still here, still feeling, still learning, still trying to do better with the time I have left. I'll sit here a bit longer, feel the coolness of the air on my skin, listen to the quiet, not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness, the house settling, my own breathing, the distant sound of a car passing, all of it, every bit of it, real. And tonight, before I sleep, I'll remember something from today, maybe the way the toast tasted this morning, buttered and warm and exactly right. Maybe the warmth of the sun through the window at noon, falling across my hands. Maybe the sound of a neighbor's child laughing, that pure, unself-conscious sound that children make before the world teaches them to be careful with their joy. Maybe this, writing to you, imagining that somewhere these words might make you pause, might make you look up from your screen and notice where you are, who's near you, what you're taking for granted because you think you'll have 1,000 more chances to appreciate it. If you're still here with me, I want to ask you something. What moment from today would you save if you could only keep one? Not the biggest one, not the most dramatic or Instagram-worthy or impressive. Just one small, real moment where you were actually there, where you weren't thinking about what came before or what comes next, where you weren't performing or worrying or planning, where you were just alive, present, feeling it. Can you remember it? Maybe it was your first sip of coffee. Maybe it was the way someone looked at you. Maybe it was a moment of quiet before the day started rushing at you. Maybe it was something so small you almost didn't notice it at all. If you can remember it, I want to encourage you to do something. Share it, write it down somewhere, tell someone, put it in the comments if you want, or just hold it quietly for yourself. Either way, you'll have done something I wish I'd done more of. You'll have lived your life on purpose, even if just for a moment. You'll have said this matters about something real, and maybe, just maybe, tomorrow you'll remember to do it again, and then again, until paying attention becomes a practice instead of an accident, until presence becomes a habit instead of a hope, until you realize that this living, this feeling, this being fully here is the only thing that ever really mattered. I'm going to go now, not because I'm done. I could probably keep talking for hours. That's what happens when you get old. You have so many things you wish you'd known sooner, and you want to tell everyone, hoping it might save them some of the pain of learning it too late. But I also know that you can't give someone else's wisdom to people. They have to live into it themselves. All I can do is share what I learned, what it cost me to learn it, and hope that maybe, for some of you, It lands differently than it would have when you were younger. I hope you don't have to wait for a heartbreak to make time real. I hope you choose presence before loss forces you to understand its value. I hope you say the things that matter while the people who need to hear them are still here to listen. And I hope that tonight, before you sleep, you remember one real moment from your day. Just one. It's a small thing. But small things, I've learned, are the only things that last. With warmth and the deep hope that you'll waste less time than I did. Someone who learned this later than they should have, but is grateful to have learned it at all.